Oh god. Oh, it's everywhere. Oh, well, it was coming. Here's me trying to defend The Amazing Spider-Man 2. God, how am I gonna do this? Okay, seriously, serious. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is actually a good Oh god, I can't. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is actually a half decent movie. Okay. Let me explain. Yes, TASM 2 is the worst Spider-Man movie. TASM 2 ruins Peter Parker. TASM 2 is an overstuffed setup to cash grab for a Sinister Six movie. TASM 2 bit off more than it could chew. TASM 2 doesn't do justice to its villains. TASM 2 is a mess. But do you know what TASM 2 also is? TASM 2 is emotional. TASM 2 is fun. TASM 2 is visually pleasing. TASM 2 has great acting. TASM 2 has great action set pieces. And TASM 2 is colourful and exciting. So I've realised you can't talk about this movie without pointing out the flaws. Now, while I'm writing this, I certainly know that whilst trying to defend this movie with all my might, I'm going to come across a multitude of flaws. And honestly, that can't be overlooked. On the off chance that it doesn't happen, then, well, welcome to me defending The Amazing Spider-Man 2. On the off chance it does happen, which it most likely will, this is just me pointing out the good things in this movie. Let's just title this that. So why is this movie good? Well, it's not, but it does things that we can appreciate at least. The whole point of these defending videos is that even though these movies might not be up to scratch with other movies like Spider-Man 2 or The Dark Knight, you really can appreciate what these films get right and what they stand for. This film was interfered with by Sony, just like how Spider-Man 3 was. The reason Spider-Man 3 sort of worked in comparison to this is because the franchise and film's basis that Sam Raimi had produced within the first and second film, by that point allowed Spider-Man 3 effectively to write its own story, which funny enough contains the best elements from that movie, the stuff that was a catalyst from Spider-Man 1 and 2, like the Harry stuff, you know, the amnesia, the forgiveness arc, you get the point, I made a video on it, go check it out. However, TASM 2 did not have this effect, and it's such a shame because the first one in this franchise was so cool and a modern and a different take on the character. Honestly, if TASM 2 was anything like TASM 1, I think it would have done better as a film overall. I don't think it would have been better or even as good as TASM 1, but it could have been held in the conversation at least. With that being said, TASM 2 is very, very flawed, but that is Sony's fault. Mark Webb wanted to carry on his vision for the character that he'd set up in the first film, just like how Sam Raimi did it in Spider-Man 1 and 2. However, Sony wanted different. Sony wanted a universe to rival Marvel, and the reason I say this is because they tried to use TASM 2 as a clear springboard for films such as The Sinister Six, a Venom film, TASM 3 and 4, an Aunt May film. I don't even know what they were doing, but you get the point. Sony wanted their own MCU, and it was so clear that they wanted this because they saw what Marvel was doing and it was working with the Avengers, and they wanted Andrew Garfield at the forefront of it as Spider-Man. And it didn't work out because they didn't take their time, which is exactly what DC did as well. But with that out of the way, Mark Webb honestly did a pretty decent job with what he had given to him. For example, and this is used in every argument for this film, and it instantly comes from Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker and their relationship are the best part of both TASM films. Now the first one, it isn't as notable because that film is actually pretty good, but here in this film it really shows that it was the main driving force to what make these films actually half decent. Their relationship, along with the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, really shines through in this movie, and you can tell that they enjoyed playing them two characters on screen. This film depicts Peter as conflicted about keeping Gwen safe and battling with his love for her, which I think is pretty cool, and me being a romantic, yeah, I get it, I like romance films, but that's still pretty good for a character. When they try and be friends, they still flirt. Now, even in these scenes on paper, you should be able to tell that they're writing them off as pretending to be friends because they can't, because they're secretly in love, and it pulls exactly that off. When you watch the scene, you can tell that these two characters are in love with each other, even though they're trying to be friends. When they interact, it feels like there's so much history between them two as people. This really draws you in and makes you forget that you're watching a movie and two actors play two characters. And when a film can do that, it's so good. It makes you forget that you're watching The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Get it? Because it's trash. So yeah, most of the good story elements come from Peter and Gwen, and the only other good story element / plot element that I think is worth mentioning is the Harry Osborn arc and him dying and him asking for Spider-Man's blood. I think it's a nice little addition to his character and driving him forward and his driving force for this movie. Anyway, what else is good about this movie if those are the only things? Well, It's mostly just the visuals. Yes, I hate the fact that this movie is bright and colourful. I hate that they used a new costume. I hate that it's different, but it's also good. I hate it because it isn't in alignment with the first movie and the tonality switch doesn't feel natural. It feels weird and makes me feel like I'm watching a brand new story, world, universe, however you want to put it. However, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 also feels like it was ripped straight from a comic book. The scenes, the colour grading, everything. The swinging was amazing, the action was great, everything looked fantastic and so pleasing to the eye. And I can bend it to being straight from the comic books, but if you've watched this channel before, you'll know that I don't care if it's from the comics or not. If the story is there and you can tell a good story, it's a good movie. I do not care if it's like the comic books, unless that element from the comic books is a key component of that character. But genuinely, as all things are considered, this is the best looking Spider-Man movie there is, and you have to commend them for that. And it doesn't make up for the story in the slightest though, and that's still why it's a bad movie. Also that costume, it's so Spider-Man! But that's about it. Anyway, apart from that, the only other good thing from this movie is the score by Hans Zimmer. I think it's powerful, uplifting, and I genuinely love it. Not as much as Danny Elfman's, but I still love it. The love theme is also really soothing and powerful too. But that's about it. I think we should take this film for what it is, and I think I'm going to title this video What the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Does Right, rather than defending, because honestly, I shat all over this film just now. But anyway, that's been it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy and want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are all new. All the social medias like Instagram and Twitter are down below if you want to go follow them for daily updates as well. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.